Vice Mayor will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you please stand?
Father in heaven, dear Lord, I do thank you for the very privilege of living on this mountain. I thank you for the council that is assembled here and for their dedication to this community. I thank you for the citizens who have gathered to participate and be part of this meeting. I ask that you give us wisdom, guide us and direct us, help us all desire to do and say those things that would be pleasing to you, and then help us do that. Be with our men and women overseas in the armed services. Give them guidance and protect them. Bring them home to us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to begin with a call to the public. Any citizens desiring to speak on a matter that's within the jurisdiction of the city may do so at this time. Comments need to be limited to 3 minutes, and it needs to be addressed directly to the council as a whole. This time we have one person who's asked so far, Commander Terry Hill.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I come tonight to talk to you about Community Fast, which took place back, last month, the month before, and their assistance to our VFW, our Veterans of Foreign Wars Ladies Auxiliary. Well, it's now Auxiliary. They were able, their help, along with a few others, they were able to put together food boxes for 63 families, and members of the Post and Auxiliary provided toys for 83 children. They gave out food that would last a week, and it resulted from feeding 441 people that were on the list. So it was a great help. Next, I want to talk to you about an honor flight benefit spaghetti dinner we're going to hold in February on the 20th. Major Lois Welsh, retired, joined the United States Army in 1942 and retired in the 60s. And many people in the community know her as Tina Welsh. She's 98 years old. She's a World War II veteran, and we're going to send her to Washington, D.C. on a World War II Veterans Honor Flight in May. So it takes us, with a Guardian, it'll take us about a little over $2,000 that we're trying to raise. And making up a flyer, with any luck, I do have 10 tickets I'll sell to you guys tonight. It's only $7 a meal. After the meeting, you guys, I'll stick around and you can buy a ticket. You don't have to come, but and if you want to donate, we'd sure appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Commander.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Anyone else on call to the public? Seeing no one else came forward, I'll call to the public and come back to special events. Tonight we have a presentation and an update on Teen Court program. This time we'll turn the time to, well, Judge Price isn't here, but come on up. We got Sherry and her crew here, so glad you're here.
Thank you. Mayor and City Council, my name is Shirley Patterson, and I work for the Show Low City Court. And tonight I have Kara Ironside, Kyle Marler, and Officer Rogers, and they are part of the Teen Court program, and they are going to do a little presentation tonight so that you have a better idea of what the Teen Court program is all about.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, and the other council members for giving us your time and your ears to listen to what we have to say about Teen Court. Teen Court is a program that allows for any teenagers residing in Navajo County to come admitting that they're guilty to trial and receive a constructive consequence for their actions. And then if they fulfill what has been assigned to them, they can have whatever mistake, whatever crime they committed expunged from their record. And so that doesn't have to follow them forever. Basically, the process that the defendant goes through is they're assigned a defendant that is a student. Our club is run out of Show Low High School, so all members of teen court are from Show Low High School. And the defendant will interview the defense will interview the defendant before the trial, and once the trial starts, prosecution and defense will ask the defendant questions, and the defendant will have the opportunity to tell their story so the jury knows what happened. The defense will usually ask questions to help highlight the good character qualities of the defendant, and from there the jury will decide what punishment is given to the defendant. Usually our punishments include a certain amount of hours of community service. We have a few different life skills booklet. One includes alcoholism, one is about driving, and those take about 15 hours to complete. And there is usually an essay assigned to the defendant also, according to something relating to their case and what they did. I've been in teen court for 3 years. I'm a junior at Show Low High School this year, so I started my freshman year. And it's been great just to see the meaning that it has in the community. It's a great safe place where defendants can come when they've made a mistake, and it's all confidential. And so they just have a place where they can go after they've made a mistake and be tried by their peers to get a constructive sentence and move on from their mistake. They don't have to keep that with them for the rest of their lives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Are you still in teen court because you can't, they're sentencing you still? No, you're part.
Hello, I have some statistics on like the type of cases and the number of cases that we've had. Teen court started in 2009. Through the 2009-2010 school year, we had about 19 cases. This last 2014-2015 school year, we saw 79 cases. So far this year, we've seen 21. Most of the cases are on vehicle, so a failure to avoid at a stop sign or speeding. We've had a couple of the not having a license. And then we've also seen a couple drug cases. We've had 2 marijuana cases, a couple tobacco, and a couple underage consumption. That's mostly what we see. We also occasionally see school discipline, so fighting in school or like truancy. And then we've seen shoplifting cases. Yeah.
Right. How many people are on teen court as far as, is it changed through the year, or do most of you serve at the same time?
We have an amount of, we usually have about 35 at a maximum of members, but through the year some people move or sports brings people out of the club, but it's not like you have to come, you don't have to attend every meeting. It's more of like you kind of come occasionally.
Vice Mayor?
You were saying most of it's volunteer,
Yeah.
kids that volunteer. So, and then you also said most of them are speeding. So if somebody's speeding, they go in there and say, by the way, I was speeding? Or do they got to get pulled over, or how does the speeding work?
We get all our cases either from the school or from the police department. So it's when a person's pulled over and they have a ticket written, they can come in, and we have the police reports.
And is most of that, the speeding, is that most around the school area, like in the park? Because I know in the parking lot, there's probably a lot of people that fly over the bumps and play around the parking lot? Or is it out in the street? Like if they're driving down the Deuce, is it kind of everywhere?
Yeah, it's most of Navajo County is the only area we see.
So the police can refer cases through teen court, but most of the time it's done through either Judge Patterson or Judge Price. They'll see a case. If it's a first-time offense, they can choose to refer them to teen court. When they come to teen court, they have to enter a plea of guilty. So we're not there to determine whether they did or did not do the crime. They enter a plea of guilty, and then at that time, we just assign them a constructive sentence. Usually it's made up, like Kara said, of community service, and we kind of base it. We have Judge Patterson or Judge Price tell us what the maximum penalty would be. So if you have like a shoplifting maximum fine of $250, we kind of base it off of $10 an hour, so it would be 250 divided by 10, so you'd get about 10 hours of community service, or I'm sorry, 25 hours of community service for that. And then some of those, like your drug offenses and stuff, it just ranges. Depending on what the crime is, you're going to get more community service hours. Like Kyle was saying last week, we had a criminal speed where a guy was doing 90 miles an hour down White Mountain Road in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. So he was very lucky that the judge allowed him to come to teen court because it was a criminal offense, plus he blew through a stop sign. Actually, it was a red light. So he was very lucky that he was even allowed to come to teen court, but they gave what the actual cost would be for the ticket if he had not gone to teen court. And so I think he ended up with 65 or 70 hours community service, plus a life skills booklet on driving. We have them for domestic violence. We also have them for drugs. And the good thing about the life skills booklet, too, is they have to sit down and do it with their parents because they're actually pretty difficult. It takes quite a bit of time to fill them out. So it's a great program. We've had kids that are going into the military and they make a stupid decision. And so sometimes the military says, well, you know what, because of this charge, we're not going to let you come in the military anymore. So we assign them to teen court. It acts as a deferment. If they complete everything that they're assigned, then it's basically wiped off their record. So it's a great program, and we've helped several individuals because of it.
Right. Yeah, Councilmember Crittenden.
Okay, I'd like to personally thank Judge Shirley Patterson, all the student participants, the teen court, and the Show Low Police Department. You guys done a wonderful job, and I think it's a great contribution to the community. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I just want to hear from our two students. What are some of the things that you have learned from being part of teen court yourself that's helped you the most? If you'd each just briefly share what you have learned.
Tickets.
Yeah. Last November, I was able to go to a teen court summit, which was basically kind of like a training for a specific amount of students. We kind of draw them out of a bin, and if you get drawn, you get to go. And through that, I learned a lot about drug use and how it's actually, how it affects your body, and more along the lines of not like alcohol and tobacco, but more into starting to get into marijuana and cocaine, and expanded my knowledge on just the effects of it and what really happens when you use those kind of substances.
That's great.
I personally think I've learned just a lot because a lot of times the defendants, you see them walking around in the hallways. I mean, it's a high school of 800 students, so it's really likely that you know some of the people that you see in court. And I just think I've learned that it's not that far off the bad things that people are doing. Like, there is a lot of bad things going on, but that doesn't necessarily make that person a bad person, and that some people recover from teen court and learn from that experience, but other people take it for granted and they won't learn from that. And so I think you just learn, like, everyone's choosing their own path, and it's really interesting that, like, you're going to school with those people and that you could have an influence on those people.
Fantastic. We'll appreciate your service and time.
I got one more real quick and then I'm done. So when you guys either one of you first got involved, did one of you get in trouble and that's why you got involved? Or did you get involved? What made you want to get involved? Because either I got in trouble speeding and so I got involved. How did that work for you?
My mother's the founder of Show Low Teen Court.
Oh, okay.
She's one of our advisors.
Yeah, she's one of the advisors. So I kind of been around it for around 6 years, I believe. So it always sparked interest, and decided that I wanted to join.
Good.
My older sister did it in high school, so that's how I heard about it. I didn't get in trouble. So, yeah, I just heard about it.
That's great. Well, thank you for what
Fine
you do.
police
We
story.
appreciate it and the
Thank you.
awareness there.
Yeah. It is in fact one of the requirements to be able to participate as a lawbreaker that it's your first offense. In other words, to the point, this gentleman, I think he said he was doing criminal speed and blew a red light. If he does it again, can he go through teen court again?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's one of the conditions is if they've already been through teen court, we won't see him again. And then also, if he doesn't complete everything he's assigned through teen court, we just refer it back to the courts. And then it's my understanding, usually because they've had the opportunity to receive that deferment, if they don't take advantage of that, then the judge basically gives them the maximum fine at that point. So, but interesting, like what Vice Mayor Leach was saying or asking, we have had several teen court members that have gone to teen court. Part of the assignment too, just generally, we ask them to come back and serve on the teen court jury a couple times as part of their sentence. So it's not just made up of kids who have never gotten in trouble. It's also made up of kids who have gotten into trouble and they're coming back and they're serving on the jury as part of their assignment. But we've had several kids that are like, you know what, this is actually a pretty cool deal. And they'll come back and they'll join teen court and become members of it. So.
And we do meet the second and fourth Monday of each month at 6 o'clock. So we invite anybody here on the council that would like to come and, check out the program. You're more than welcome to.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
much.
Our next item tonight is a presentation of reports by Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. We have Jay Brimhall and Steve Hare with us tonight.
We need to get a basket or something for this presentation for
A basket.
Mr. Hare to stand on, so you guys
Yeah, the
get
contrast
you a
is
little
kind
aphid
of,
in the camera. Are you-
yeah, they're gonna have to be pretty,
Choose one or the other.
pretty choosy back there on who they focus on. But Mayor and Council, thank you for this opportunity. I've had the opportunity to work with Parks and Rec Advisory Committee now for about 14 months. And before I introduce Steve Hare, the chairman, I just want to say what a pleasure it's been working with them. And I think we're on the right track, and I'm pretty sure that this presentation will show that. So without further ado, Chairman Hare.
Thank you. Welcome, Steve.
On behalf of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, I would like to thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to serve. We'd also like to acknowledge the untiring efforts of the city staff and their enthusiastic support, not the least of which is our Community Services Director, Brimhall, and our supervisor, our Recreation Supervisor, Ham, and of course, City Manager Mooter, who are at all the meetings, and it's an encouragement. Also like to acknowledge the attendance of some fellow committee members. I saw Jimmy Jane is here and Sally, and I don't think Gordon or Doug meant, but want to acknowledge their presence here tonight as well. The committee's been busy over the past year or year plus preparing this recommendation for council. We're indebted to the ASU EPICS group for their efforts on our behalf. The committee took the recommendations from the ASU engineering students, and I've never had to say ASU that many times and thank them, and I was going to be good and not say anything, but I wouldn't be true to the cats from whence I come. But we are very, very grateful. ASU, the students are fantastic. They've done a great job. And so we took the recommendations, we synthesized them into a plan that we think is practical, we think it's attainable, and we think it's sustainable. And our goal in considering and presenting these recommendations was to leverage existing infrastructure as well as minimizing the impact on the trees at City Park, which was our main focus so far. Additionally, our recommendations have taken into consideration maximizing the public safety by suggesting, as you have seen and will see, the implementation of certain traffic calming features and also improving some of the visibility that's needed in our city park. And so we're excited to present to you our recommendation for the City Park Master Plan. Before we move through this brief slide presentation, you'll notice in the recommendation the absence of additional fields. It's long been a discussion in our city of the need for additional Little League fields, and you notice we spent a lot of time on them. There's no recommendation per se. We've looked at a plethora of options for additional ball fields. The committee believes that the city has other viable options that would accommodate other fields in the future as needed. At the same time, it preserves the pristine and I think the eclectic attraction for our community of City Park. And of course, one of those things that I believe you're well aware of is, of course, what's happening or going to happen here soon at Nicholas Park with improving of the 2 ball fields that are there, moving the backstops, and it will give us 2 fields that can be used for Little League baseball and softball as well. So without any further ado, I'd like to present to you a synopsis of our recommendations. On the second slide there, you see that the committee focused on improving safety throughout the park, including the trail system and routes. One of the things, emphasis on parking. There's a recommendation of quite a few additional parking spots, and city staff has made that clear on the presentation that you have, and also revamping some of the existing parking spots as well. There's a new area for a destination playground, improving and modernizing some playground equipment, adding a splash pad, a small grass ball field as well that can be used and strategically placed within the city park between Ramada ball fields, things where families come and go a lot. Additionally, we have recommended an improved racquetball facility and the recommendation to repurpose the existing racquetball courts into parks and maintenance headquarters as they continue to increase in their need of equipment. And of course, having the city park makes a lot of sense since that's where much of their work takes place. As I mentioned in my introduction, the committee worked with the EPICS. EPICS is the Engineering Projects and Community Service Group from Arizona State University, began under Joel Weeks in 2013, and we continue to work with them.
Which university?
Randy, don't do that to me. That one down in Tempe. The Arizona State University.
Oh, okay.
Good kids. And I can say it more. My nephew is going to be a student there, the first one of our clan that has broken the code, but that's all right. They do a fantastic job, and we're actually working with them now, and I'll mention them again in a minute, just for you, Rennie. There's 2 plans that you see there, and they're the same in terms of the changes with regard to some of the playgrounds. The only difference is a recommendation, the difference of accessing the park, removing one of the roads, and I'll let you can study that and see it. But in the very first one, it has, we can go to the next slide. I don't know, Bill, are you doing that? We can go to the next slide. And the colorful one there. And you notice off of Owens, there's 2 current entrances, one that goes to the new Ramada, one that goes over there by the Little League field. And if we'll go ahead to the next slide, everything else is the same. And in the next slide, you notice that there's a single entrance that comes off of Owens, makes a T. It will require more work and more engineering, undoubtedly, but that is the committee's favorite. It has a lot of pluses to it. You'll see in the parking some large numbers and small numbers. The small numbers represent the current existing parking spaces. And one of the big recommendations, which I think anybody that's driven in the park will appreciate when you park up by the Ponderosa field, from the time I came here and went through there the first time in 1993, I still haven't figured out how that's supposed to work. Where you come in, we know where we come in, where we're supposed to come out, but how it works from there is still a mystery. But there's some recommendations to move some things around and make it more efficient. And you can see that in some of the other parking areas as well, including a large expansion near the Aquatic Center. One of the things that the council commissioned the Parks and Rec Advisory Commission to do is to look at shoulder seasons and how we can provide some more opportunities for citizens during those shoulder seasons in between the winter and the summer months. And under the guidance from our city staff, and they've worked with our school district, and it's a pleasure to be able to mention to you a standalone one-off concert on April 8th, and it's kind of a test run. And a Neil Diamond tribute band was chosen, has a wide range Neil Diamond. That's why I dressed in black tonight, was to kind of, get you ready for Neil Diamond when he comes, or the tribute band. But the idea is to see how well our community will respond to something like that. And we believe, we're optimistic, that it's the type of event that we can multiply a few times in the year, especially use those shoulder season times and provide something of value for our community and something of fun for the entire family. And so you'll see some more information in the days ahead. One of the things that was installed at the end of last summer were cameras over at the Nicholas Park, and the vandalism decreased exponentially. And having seen the success there, we're recommending that the same type of thing be considered over at City Park, and that's an installation of a camera system there that will help reduce some of the damage and I think provide safety as well as security in the future. One other mention, if we can advance a couple slides there, Bill. One more. Park standards. One of the things we've been looking at, the city staff has put together quite a document of some of the different things, trying to incorporate all the different needs that our parks have and put them into a synthesized checklist. And each park will have a checklist, so to speak, that is uniquely designed for the features of that park. And hope within the next month or so that this will be complete, and it'll provide the opportunity for our park staff to be able to kind of have an idea of the expectations. It will help our recreation supervisor and community services director, Brimhall, to be able to work with our maintenance staff as well. And it's been well received by Mikey, as far as I understand. As we look into the future, and we can go to the next slide, and this is the second to the last one, we'll continue to work with the EPICS committee from Arizona State University. Rennie, I said it, and proud to say it. And one of the things that they're looking at is the Butler property over there, and looking at what can be done with that 14 acres. And we anticipate that they'll be giving a recommendation to the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee by the end of spring, or maybe the early part of summer. And it is our hope and anticipation that by the end of this year, that council will have some additional recommendations to look at, specifically as it relates to the Butler Street property. And that's the presentation. Jay, thanks for putting the PowerPoint together. Any questions?
Questions, comments?
And we have
Councilmember
other
Crittenden.
committee members that would be glad to help as well.
Yeah, no, I would like to thank you for the work that you guys are doing, and commend all the universities in the state. University of Arizona worked on the original downtown program that set up all the improvements that we had downtown, and now ASU is working on the Parks and Recreation thing. So it's good to have the help of both universities, because they're both very, very good.
Right. We appreciate it. We really do. One of the things that I learned at one of our breakout sessions was to a conference and maybe you guys can take this and maybe evaluate it at least and see if it's even feasible. But because there's so many people that are here that have grandchildren that are in this area, but maybe the grandparents don't live here, they just set up a camera in the back of the backstop, and they video stream some of those Little League ball games and some of the T-ball games. So Grandma and Grandpa can now log onto our city website and see some of those games of the grandchildren being played. And it's very inexpensive, very simple way, but it brings the communities together a little bit better. So in your thought processes when you're working there, see how we could maybe reach out to some grandparents that don't get to see their kids play that often, and maybe see the parents. But it's a pretty simple thing with what we have with our streaming nowadays. So, but, it's neat to see a master plan. It's neat to see vision for that park, and hopefully in the years to come, it will be another showcase that we have in our community. It's fantastic. Thanks for your effort and your leadership there, Mr. Hare.
Well, it's a great, motivated, creative committee.
Mayor, I got a couple of questions. One is,
I like the great aspect of what you're trying to do to the parks and make it a safe place for people to enjoy and have fun. Not only just to walk or enjoy, but to play ball, play tennis. Racquetball courts, I haven't seen those things used in a long time, mostly because it's just been dirty and hard for people to play in there. We used to play racquetball in there a lot, and so I'd like to see that thing build back up. But one thing that really confused me, you wearing black, but I talked about Neil Diamond, but wearing the white glove is not, it kind of threw me there for a little bit.
Took me over 50 years to earn this. First cast, first broken bone skiing up in.
Okay, there for a while I thought I was going to have to call you Michael, but I didn't know what I did.
Think about that. Yeah. Oh. And one of the things that I'll just, as kind of an add-on, on one of our on-site meetings at the park, and you'll see the roundabout and appreciate our city staff and engineers engineering that and removable slowing devices. But in our first on-site meeting there, something that we've witnessed time and time again, but it was interesting, and that was a family pulls up to Little League Field, they park across the street, kids are excited to get over there and play and get on the playground, and a child started running across, and Jay, I didn't know he could talk so loud, I knew he was tall, and hollered, and that's one of the things that this proposal will help ameliorate, is make it a safe place, and to prevent it from being a cut-through. That's something that's witnessed constantly as a shortcut.
Right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item tonight is a presentation of the State of the City address. If you will bear with me for a few minutes, we will go through that. On behalf of the entire City Council, we want to share our city's major accomplishments over the past year, our financial health and outlook, and our proposed plans for the future as we begin the new year. Looking back on 2015, we ended the year with optimism as Show Low's economic health improved. Sales tax revenues have continued to increase slightly over the past 5 consecutive years, with retail comprising almost 75% of total collections. Last year brought an increased upward trend in construction activity in both residential and commercial sectors. In significant projects, the residents in Show Low Heights, one of the city's older subdivisions, saw major road improvements. After we upgraded the water lines, we repaired the concrete curbs and sidewalks and repaved all the streets. We also completed the second phase of major water improvements in Fairway Park, replacing water lines and fire hydrants. In partnership with the Arizona Department of Transportation, a multi-use path along US 60, the entrance to Torreon, was constructed. The path added a sidewalk and asphalt surface along this busy entryway into Show Low. In community events, we've turned Show Low's Days Incorporation, May 4th of 1953, into an annual event. We combined it with the Barbecue Throwdown, a sanctioned barbecue competition that draws master barbecue chefs from across the United States. The popularity of this event grew again in 2015, and we see it becoming another signature event for Show Low, hoping that Vice Mayor will one day put a winning entry in. We held our well-attended 4th of July parade and Freedom Fest festivities, which drew spectators and participants from the entire region to enjoy the family-friendly activities, live concerts, and spectacular firework displays. Our signature, Show Low Shines for the holidays, again illuminated our city, along with other events that put everyone in the mood for Christmas. Finally, at year's end, we counted down to midnight with the award-winning Deuce of Clubs drop and fireworks show. We held our Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service Community Project in May, an annual service day we observed since 2009. Our employees and other volunteers did an incredible job of refurbishing the old pavilion at City Park. The Martin Luther King Day of Service is typically held in January, but we've moved it to May to accommodate winter weather. We joined with community groups to participate in the 3rd annual Community Fast of Compassion. We're proud of our heritage of bringing hope and prospect of a better life through our community projects and holiday assistance programs. We thank everyone who donated their time, money, and efforts to care for those in the community who need extra support. We welcome new Department Director, Administrative Services Director, Justin Johnson, who shares our fiscal philosophy. Justin manages finance and budgeting, human resources, safety, loss control, and information systems and grants. Mid-year, we directed staff to conduct a citizen survey seeking opinions about our city services and programs. Citizens were randomly selected from the voter registration list to receive the survey through the mail or to participate by way of phone call. We're pleased to see that 92% of you who responded feel Show Low is a safe place to live. 85% rate the overall quality of life in Show Low as high. 76% feel Show Low is a safe place to raise their children. 72% rate the quality of our neighborhood as high. And 72% believe we in city government meet your expectations. Top 6 reasons you said you like about living in Show Low is our friendly, small atmosphere, our climate and air quality, the trees and open space, the safety and quiet of our rural community, the ease of travel, and the amenities we enjoy. We appreciate all of you who took the time to respond and share your thoughts with us. If you have additional comments or questions, our city website has a Contact Us feature under the residents and visitors. In August, Boutique Air became our new commuter airline with daily flights between Show Low and Phoenix. We're happy to see that Boutique has been consistent in its service. Passenger use has been steady and passenger satisfaction is high. In terms of our financial position, I want to reiterate that your elected officials and staff see our local economy as #1 priority. Our budgetary policy is one of fiscal conservatism, which ensures that we have the necessary funds to meet your needs as citizens. We never spend more than we have budgeted, and we always save money to pay for larger, more expensive projects in future years. We're committed to using your taxpayer dollars wisely, and our department managers share that view by carefully analyzing every program to ensure efficiency. I'm proud to say our fiscal policies have allowed Show Low to survive difficult economic times and even to experience modest growth. One indicator of improving conditions is business growth and expansion. We are pleased to see Show Low Ford expanding and beautifying its dealership. Summit Healthcare Regional Medical Center completed expanding the cancer center and began upgrading its surgical facility, which continues to add to its reputation as a progressive state-of-the-art regional hospital. A commercial building that will house Supercuts and other businesses began construction in front of Home Depot with expected completion in early 2016. Our cost-conscious approach is always allowing us to undertake a major project this year. We hired an architectural firm to remodel the former Taste building on the Deuce of Clubs into a state-of-the-art police station facility with expanding parking and more visible access for public safety along Show Low's main corridor. With fiscal conservatism in mind, we save money by purchasing an existing property rather than purchasing land and building it from the ground up. Saving money is also allowing us to pay for almost 75% of our wastewater treatment plant improvement project, which will be completed this year. The upgrades are to comply with new federal environmental regulations and also provide additional capacity to meet future needs. In addition, we put our resources into delivering full police and public works service, providing community events and recreational activities, and upgrading our aquatic center and library to ensure your needs and interests are met. We offered our 17th annual free Project Clean Sweep beautification program, co-sponsored the annual record-breaking electronic waste collection event, and provided a Christmas tree recycling site. To improve our service and transparency, we added several new features to our website, including a search element on the cemetery map showing photos of headstones to help people find where their loved ones are buried, and a page that shows the locations of and provides details about ongoing recent completed public works projects. We're rolling out financial transparency software to allow website visitors to view our city's financial information and create customized reports. We also rebranded our television station to Show Low TV, following its move from cable Channel 4 to Channel 56. The channel has the same programming with the new look. Our plans for 2016 include another phase of replacing water lines and fire hydrants in the Fairway Park subdivision. And as part of our ongoing efforts to enhance our downtown and civic center area, we'll add parking and landscaping on 9th Street from East Union South to McNeil and on the south side of the hall between 8th and 9th Streets, thanks to financial assistance of a community development block grant. We'll continue to collaborate with other communities to bring added value services to our region, such as our much-needed transit system and supporting tourism marketing efforts. One exciting new event this year is a regional geocaching tour involving communities in Navajo and Apache counties. It has huge potential to become an economic powerhouse by attracting geocachers from around the world. Our success is largely attributable to the dedicated assistance of our city employees and volunteers who deliver their best to serve you. Our advisory committees, senior patrol, and library friends will provide their valuable service for free, saving taxpayer dollars. We invite you to join us. Come volunteer your time, your talents, or materials for the betterment of your community. Join us on May 14th for our Martin Luther King Day Junior Day of Service Community Project, or participate in our civic process when the council and staff meet to discuss next fiscal year's budget. Every budget meeting will be here in the council chambers, and it's open to the public. We begin this process this Thursday night with a town hall budget meeting designed specifically for citizens. The entire budget calendar is posted on the website. I just want to close with a few comments of the wisdom of Benjamin Franklin, and maybe as us as citizens can make this part of our coming year here. The best thing to give to your enemy is forgiveness. To an opponent, it's tolerance. To a friend, it's your heart. To your child, it's a good example. To a father, it's deference. To your mother, conduct that will make her proud of you. And to yourself, respect. But to all men, charity. The new year always begins with its opportunities for new beginnings. We wish you and your family the best of health and happiness in 2016. Let us all live the example of the legacy that we want to leave behind for our families and future generations. Thank you, community, and thank you, staff, and we look forward to 2016, a positive year. We take a break now? Okay, our next item is a consent calendar. We have consideration of a second addendum to non-commercial ground lease that we have signed that from Pelco to LLC Sky King Aviation. We have the consideration of the award of a contract for utility bill mailing and printing services, and a consideration of the minutes of the Shoalo City Council meeting on January 5th, 2016. Do I have any items that need to be pulled or discussed? I'll look for a motion. I have a motion by Councilwoman Kakavas, second by Councilmember Alsop. Any other discussion? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 6-7-0. Our next item is new business, consideration of commercial lease agreement to operate a cafe in the Shoalo Library. Mr. Collins. Jeff, you have done a fantastic job with our library, so.
Thank you, sir.
I'll toot your horn. You're doing a great job, and we appreciate you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mayor, and good evening, Council. I come before you today in consideration of an agreement. As you know, the library opened in 2010 and included a space for a cafe coffee shop. And in the ensuing 5.5 years, the city has attempted through request for proposal to fill that space with a local vendor. It's been unsuccessful until recently. On December 23rd, the city issued another RFP to local businesses, including hand delivery to several local vendors. And the city also issued notification in 2 issues of the White Mountain Independent and on the city's website. The city received 1 response from a local business. That business is RGB Fresh Coffee and Espresso LLC. And at this point, staff recommends that the council approve this lease agreement with that local vendor. We believe that it'll be positive for our library users, and we believe that it'll be positive for the community as well.
Okay, any questions? You want to share with us kind of what their plan is, or what, maybe, what area of the library they'll kind of be moving into?
Yeah, it'll be the space designated in the far southwest corner right now. It's near the fireplace. And there's approximately 198 square feet that were designed as a cafe prep area. And then the front has a cafe/counter area. And the plan is to do some very, very minor remodeling, including replacing the carpet tiles with something that will be easier to clean up in case there are spills, such as tile or wood laminate of some sort. And then potentially researching further usage with some additional furniture in the area, and then possibly a new security system for the library materials so that we can utilize the west patio, which has been closed to this point. We'd really like to look at increasing the space that we have as more usable space. So that would be the plan initially. Long-term, we'd look at possibly opening up the north patio and the east patio as well.
Vice Mayor?
Is this company going to man this? Like they have hours set, or is it going to be a drop off with pots and how's that going to work?
That's a great question. Right now, they're going to man it. It'll be an actual business running within the library during the library hours. And they've indicated that they will have approximately 2 part-time staff running the cafe at all times.
Thank you.
Councilmember Crittenden?
This is a local company, you say. Do they have a business here on the mountain or what? I don't know the business. Is there background on it?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. The owner is Beth Wagner, and she is here present as well, in case you had any questions of her. And she owns the Pine Top Coffee House and the RGB Roasting Company. And she's been in business in various capacities on the mountain for approximately 3+ years. I believe she started out with a coffee cart at some of the local farmers markets and has slowly expanded up to a shack and to that business in Pine Top right now.
Okay.
Councilmember Alsop?
Thank you, Mayor. I've had coffee up there. You know, I work for the phone company, so I got to have coffee somewhere. So I've had it there. So it's great. I want to go ahead and make a motion, and nobody else has it.
That's fine.
I move to approve the commercial lease agreement between the City of Show Low and RGB Fresh Coffee and Espresso LLC to operate a cafe in the library.
We have a motion. Is there a second? A second by Vice Mayor. Any other discussion?
Mayor, if I can, Mayor, just to clarify, when I was looking at actually Councilman Kelly brought it to my attention, there is one little discrepancy in the agreement where we have when the payment is due. And I'm going to remove section 4.1 of the agreement so that's consistent, just so council knows about that. One of them said it was due at the beginning of the month, the other said at the end of the month. That's all it was.
You'll just clarify that.
We'll
in the
clarify
agreement. Okay, you don't need to do anything for the motion, though, do we? No. Okay. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 7-0. We wish you all this luck and success in doing that. We're happy to have this in our community, in our library. Thank you. That's great. Next item is summary of current events. Council members wishing to share on a current event may do so at this time. Councilmember Crittenden.
Earlier, or late last week, I had the opportunity to go out and visit the Timber Mesa Fire District Administrative Complex, and I would like to say that they should be very, very proud of that. I don't know how many of you have been out there, but it's designed and set up that it's going to last as far as the way it's laid out. They did long-term planning on it, and it's going to be there and be able to be functional for a long time, and they should be very, very proud of it. They did a great job.
Appreciate that. Councilmember Alsop.
Thank you, Mayor. Attended a Main Street board meeting this last week, and we just went over the different things that the Main Street has done this past year, and everything that they did has been a really great reward this year for Spectacular and the Gingerbread Farmers Market, a number of things that they've been involved in. They really want to get involved in a big project, like a street, lightscape and stuff like that. So they're looking for different major projects to get into. But the main thing is, before too long, starting in March and April, the farmers market is going to start back up again. And in the last 5 years, it's just been a growing thing that's been going on there, and get a lot of participants, and it's just more spaces. And we're looking at taking up all of Cooley and maybe even start going down to 9th and seeing where this thing can take us. But before too long, get ready for the farmer's market. It's going to be starting back up again. And I missed the last council meeting, but I read in the paper last Friday, I believe it was, and I want to send my condolences out to the Furneaux family. The ex-mayor Rick Furneaux, his dad passed away, and I just want to send our condolences to the family. Thank you.
Any other council member, vice mayor?
Just to remind everybody, it's a ways away, but our 4th annual Show Low Barbecue Throwdown and our anniversary party is the first weekend in May. It's the 6th and 7th. The 6th is basically a setup for all the barbecue teams. You can come out there and visit those guys, but come that night, probably not so much. The 7th is when we start our turn-ins, and no, I can't compete because I'm actually the promoter now.
Okay.
So KCBS will not let me compete anymore, but come on out. It's free to the public. We will have samples. We'll have vendors selling barbecue, and some of the teams will have some samples of their products. So it's a great event. It's growing more and more each year, and last year the team that won it was from Iowa. We get them from all over the country, so thank you.
Great, that's great. Any other council member? I don't have really anything other than go Cardinals. You know, that's exciting. So, you know, just what's good for Arizona is good for Show Low too.
Go
So
Niners. Oh.
that's exciting. Brother Tyner, our city manager.
Just a couple things, a few things to report. The Recreation Department's accepting applications for the Daddy-Daughter Dance. We mentioned that before. It's a popular dance on Friday, February 5th, from 6 to 8 p.m. in the city campus gymnasium. The tickets are $10 per couple plus $5 for additional girls. They sell out fast, so you need to, if you're interested in attending that, get yours as soon as you can. For information, you can call 532-4140. The library sponsored a Lego club that was very successful the first meeting. It was off to a great start with nearly 200 people in attendance. Due to the high demand, the library is expanding that Lego club in February with sessions on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Tuesdays of every month. Tickets will be available for the public to pick up starting the 1st of every month. And as Councilman Crittenden mentioned, the new headquarters for Timber Mesa Fire and Medical District is open at 3561 East Usa Clubs. The chief let us know this morning they have issued an open invitation to the public to drop by and tour their new offices. And finally, for the council's information of the public, you may notice some ongoing flight testing of helicopters the next few weeks at the Show Low Regional Airport. Thank you.
Thank you. Schedule of meetings, any other meetings that need to be brought up? We just remind that we do have a town hall budget meeting this Thursday at 6 p.m. And we have our regional mayor and council association meeting Thursday down at Taylor as well. And the next week we go down to the Valley for our legislative day on the 28th. Those who would like to go, let us know. Seeing no other business, I'll adjourn this meeting.
Okay.
Well, okay.
I'll go home.
Great.